Apple is often criticized by its detractors for not innovating, or for being late to the market, or for receiving credit on things that it didn't actually invent. And most of the time, it's a valid criticism. I mean, Apple was not the first company to make a graphical user interface for computers, nor the first company to make an MP3 player, nor a digital music store, nor a touchscreen smartphone, nor a high-resolution laptop display, nor facial recognition, nor a tablet. I mean, the list goes on forever. But just as a Michelin star chef doesn't make its ingredients, Apple has shown time and time again remarkable aptitude at knowing when to enter a market, and then when they do it, to have an incredibly polished feature set that just blows away the competition, even if there were other competitors that had invented those same features first. But look, Apple has a great track record, but it isn't perfect, right? They've had their fair share of failures, and I fear that their new streaming service, Apple TV Plus, will be their latest blunder. First off, it's important to know what Apple TV Plus is. In short, it is a subscription streaming service with only Apple originals. So unlike Netflix and Prime Video and Hulu, there is no back catalog of licensed third-party content. Apple TV Plus shows will be accessed through the Apple TV app. Now, this is not to be mistaken with the Apple TV hardware, which is Apple's high-priced, high-end streaming box. The Apple TV app will be available on all of Apple's products, as well as many third-party devices like the Amazon Fire TV and Roku, along with a lot of smart TVs from Samsung, Sony, LG, Vizio, and more. Furthermore, the Apple TV app will further integrate third-party content in addition to Apple TV Plus original content, if you're subscribed to those services. So HBO content will show up in the Apple TV app if you're an HBO Go subscriber, without having to go to the HBO Go app. Are you confused yet? Because it's rough. But today, we're going to talk about just the Apple TV Plus streaming service that Apple will be offering come this November. Apple has already spent over $6 billion creating original content for this new streaming service, which, while pale in comparison to Netflix's projected $17.5 billion spend on original content for 2019 alone, is no slouch. Apple's spending nearly the same budget as Amazon Prime Video. And Apple's not shy about sharing the biggest names in Hollywood that they've acquired for that healthy $6 billion sum. From Oprah Winfrey to J.J. Abrams to Steven Spielberg, Apple has A-list directors, writers, and actors for their flagship programs, like The Morning Show, which stars Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, and Steve Carell. And let's not forget the smaller celebrities that claim a cult following and respect from the Academy, like Kumail Nanjiani, Aziz Ansari, Rob McElhenney, Jason Momoa. The list is lengthy. In a vacuum, this sounds like a really compelling service, so long as the monthly price is right. But reality is not a vacuum, and Apple has some seriously heavy hitters in the industry that have a lot more experience than they do. Let's just assume for a minute that all of the content Apple produces is going to be high quality and desirable. Now, I'm already a little bit skeptical about this because of how much free rein Apple really seems to be giving its producers. Steven Spielberg is bringing back another program that only lasted 2 years on network television during a short stint in the 80s. The Morning Show's public reception has been, well, it's been less than stellar. For All Mankind, the Cold War era drama, which honestly looks hyper interesting to me, seems like a relatively niche audience, a la FX's The Americans. Kumail Nanjiani's nonfiction show, which shares stories about immigrants, seems moving and powerful, but just doesn't seem to have the same wide appeal as, I don't know, Stranger Things. But for the purposes of this argument, let's operate on the assumption that all of the content that Apple makes is going to be high quality and desirable. Operating on that assumption, Apple has a huge number of advantages up its sleeve. The first and most obvious one to me is the 1.5 billion active Apple devices on the planet. That's 1.5 billion devices that come with the Apple TV app pre-installed. We know that this is a massive asset because of Apple Music. While continuing to trail Spotify internationally, Apple Music has seen massive success in the domestic North American market, with total subscribership having passed Spotify in early 2018. Apple entered the music streaming market super late, but they came in strong and they shaved away a healthy portion of the market share in record time. Now, this was thanks to their generous 3-month free trial for all new users, excellent pricing for family plans, and an annoying but potent marketing tactic via push notifications, haggling those 1.5 billion devices to check out and sign up for Apple Music. Apple could and will almost certainly deploy a similar strategy for TV Plus. We really should expect a generous free trial period for the service, family sharing for the same price as the single user plan, and because Apple is in a unique position of being a multimedia content distributor with a new unhealthy fixation for services revenue, it's likely we'll see discounted bundles for Apple TV Plus, Apple Music, and iCloud Drive in the near future. The subscription service market is a growing one, and Apple wants a slice of the action as their hardware offerings like the iPhone and the iPad start to enter an age of maturity with less frequent upgrades from normal consumers and a rapidly diminishing first-time smartphone user market. Now, there's one other pet theory that we here at Snazzy Labs share. The new Apple Card is yet another attempt by Apple to capture additional services revenue. And while the card's current perks really aren't all that desirable for point-focused plastic enthusiasts, Apple is slowly expanding the benefits that Apple Card brings. Now, shortly after launch, Apple announced that Uber transactions and Uber Eats transactions would receive the same 3% cashback rate as transactions made at Apple. This is proof that they're continuing to modify the card's benefits, and it really strongly implies that there will be some sort of discount bundle for Apple Card in the future. Now, maybe Apple goes crazy and gives Apple Card users 50% off of Apple TV Plus. I kind of doubt it, but if it helps increase their bottom line by getting more people to sign up for Apple Card, the better. Lastly, this seems like a weird pro, but Apple is massively serious about this. And as a company with nearly unlimited resources and cash, that has to be worth at least something, right? I mean, not only does the $6 billion spend indicate this, but Apple recognizes, just as they did with Apple Music, which has an Android app, that this service can't reach mass market success if it's limited to Apple hardware. Locking Apple TV Plus to Apple devices would be a death sentence. The international market is huge, and Apple's hardware attach rate just doesn't match North America in regions like Latin America and Asia. Furthermore, when Apple TV, the hardware, came out, it was in an era where all smart TV software sucked, and it doesn't as much as it used to. Though I gotta say, it would be really interesting if Apple released a $49 streaming stick version of Apple TV and included 6 months of Apple TV Plus free. Because I think Apple TV hardware remains some of the best on the market, and getting it into the most people's hands possible would mean that non-Apple users may finally own an Apple device they own and like, would be prone to purchase more Apple devices, and it would also mean increased revenue through iTunes purchases and rentals, which are the way you buy movies on iTunes, on an Apple TV. Okay, let's address the part of this video that you thought was clickbait. Because joke's on you, sucker, it isn't clickbait. I genuinely believe Apple TV Plus may fail, and fail hard. Because look, Apple isn't just competing against Netflix anymore. Consumers in general are really starting to experience extreme subscription fatigue. From Netflix to Hulu to HBO Go. From out of your bank account, money will flow. But that's not all. Oh no, there's more. NBC, CBS, Disney, you poor. Piracy's up because we're sick of this crap. We just cut the cord, but we're already back. It's stressful, confusing, and far too expensive. You're sick of this poem. It's far too extensive. Too bad, you fool. I'm not Marquez. My vids are full of pros, and listen, I says, it's rumored that Apple will only have 5 shows ready for launch. 5! And no pre-existing catalog. I imagine any launch price, especially the rumored $9.99 per month, is going to be a really tough sell. Unlike all of the other media companies entering the streaming game, Apple has no IP, no intellectual property. And I'm honestly shocked they didn't try to license an existing franchise, because I'm just not really sure their current list of shows will pull people in when Disney is going to Thanos snap all of the streaming services out of existence. You've probably heard the news. Everyone's favorite rat is entering the streaming market in November, the same month as Apple, for $6.99 per month. That includes 7 profiles and 4 concurrent 4K resolution streams. And it's friggin' Disney. I mean, they've got a massive back catalog they're bringing, and with billions invested into the new service, with brand new shows from their Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, and Disney properties, they're not going to be playing coy. And as if that wasn't already a massive enough blow, Disney will be offering ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu bundled together for $12.99 per month. In contrast, Netflix's 4K plan starts at $16 per month. And look, as much as I believe Disney to be supremely evil, I mean, how can you pass up on an offer like that? It's cheaper than 2 churros at Disneyland. In fact, I didn't until the end of today. Disney is offering a 3rd year free if you prepay 2 years, which brings the monthly price down to $3.92. That is insane. This is not an Apple Music scenario because unlike music streaming services that offer the exact same catalog across the board, video is a whole different ballgame. And it's not just a ballgame out of Apple's league. I mean, it's an entirely different sport. And who knows, maybe Apple isn't trying to beat Disney or Netflix. Maybe they're just hoping to cut a little fraction of the market away like HBO Go. But that's not the Apple I know, and I doubt that that's their plan either. Who knows what'll happen, but it's sure to be jazzy. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay snazzy. Why do we still make videos?